out and play. We all have one. The parts of us we don't like, our insecurities, our fears, the parts we don't know, and the parts we don't want the world to know. Here's the deal. If we don't know our shadow, it'll come out in ways we don't want. So today I'm going to ask you to be brave and ask your shadow to come out and play in the art that you're going to be creating. So let's get started.
Okay, first thing is we're starting off with a art journal, and I'm using a journal page instead of a painting for this because I want this to be a more intimate experience, something that you are viewing privately, something you share with someone else. It's not meant to go on the wall, it's meant to be something you enjoy for yourself. So I'm going to start off with taking some Payne's Gray. And what I want to do is start to write down some of the inner voices that my shadow says, things that kind of talk against me being an artist, things that make me feel insecure. So these are some of the words, and just I'm using paint. I'm going to just paint all over this page those words, and you can feel free to use a pencil or a pen and ink or crayon or any other medium you want. Just want to get the page covered with words. That of what's being said to you that you kind of keeps you from being the artist that you're meant to be. So here we go. Okay, now that that's dry, I'm going to start to lay some color over this. I want to go ahead and put 4 or 5 layers of paint over to start to obscure some of the words. So I'm going to start with some turquoise. Going to spread it out real thin. I'm using an old credit card here. Now I'm going to go back with some of the Payne's Gray. I'm going to add a little bit of acrylic glazing medium. Here's where I'm going to take my stencils, little shadow figures. I'm going to start painting around each of these. I'm going to use a bunch of them, just to kind of fill up the background here. Okay, so I think some of these shadows are getting a little bit lost for me, so I'm going to go ahead and try something here. I'm going to go ahead and put the stencil back down and just try adding a little bit of the turquoise. All right, now for the next phase, okay, this sort of shows all the shadows, it acknowledges all the different voices. So we're going to go ahead and let this dry. Then we're going to come back and put our secured artist, our redeemed artist, the artist we want to be, kind of reclaim and make a stand here. Okay, now what we're going to do is make our secured artist here. So what I'm going to do is put down this large stencil, and I'm going to just tack it down because it's so big here. I'm going to tack it down with a little piece of tape, not too hard, just so it kind of gets on the page a little bit here and doesn't shift around. Then I'm going to take some titanium white. I'm going to take a very dry brush and no water added to this. I'm just going to start scrubbing the paint into the stencil here. I do not want to cover too much. I want the background to show through. I'm using a very dry brush so that it doesn't slip under it. It'll slip under some, but it won't go under the edges of the stencil too much. Let's just sort of peek under it, see how it's looking. Oh, looks great. Looks great. So I'm going to go ahead and take the tape off. See, it smudged a little bit there. That's okay. Just take a little baby wipe and just sort of wipe that edge up a little bit. Okay, so here we have the artist that is now secured, representing my secured artist, who has come out of the shadows and has sort of acknowledged his shadows and overcome it. I also made this stencil here of a hand, so I'm going to go ahead and put that on this side and do the same thing I did before with the white paint. This is the stencil I made, and you can go to my website and I'll show you how I make those. But there we've got our redeemed shadow, our secured artist here, and holding a hand. Now I'm going to let this dry, and I'm going to make the next element that I'm going to make for this piece. So let me move this aside. Now what I want to make is a little pinwheel. So I've got a 6" by 6" piece of paper. This is just some 90-pound plain paper. And what I want to do is on one side, I'm going to make a bunch of little red dots. Just fill up the page. All different sizes. We're going to let our new secure artist have a little bit of fun. Okay, now I want to paint the other side also. And what I want for this is, I'm going to start with a little bit of the turquoise and add a lot of white to it. Paint the whole thing right now. Okay, now with a little bit of the glazing medium, a thinner brush, and the straight up turquoise, I'm going to go ahead and paint some lines. Now I also want to make a little button in the center, so what I'll do again is I'm going to make a couple of these, see which ones I like, what I like. Now to make the pinwheel, you're going to cut here to here, leave a little center area that does not, that remains intact. The hard part is getting these all to glue down. So what I'm going to do, take some matte medium. You want to just press that down until it's completely dry. This is the hard part. Do not proceed until this is completely dry and it's all adheres. Okay, so now we've got our pinwheel pretty secure. Kind of a mess in there. So what I want to do is cut out one of these little circles. Cover up where all the pieces connect together. So this looks prettier. Alright, now again we're going to take a lot of the matte medium again. Just fill that whole section in. And then smash this down on top. And let that completely dry. This is where we want it to be completely sturdy. So, okay, now we have our pinwheel. What I want to do is go ahead and just cut a little slice in it all the way through. And then we're going to take this little brad and slip it through. Alright, so now we've got our pinwheel. And just because I don't like the gold color, I'm going to go ahead and just put a little bit of acrylic paint right on the brad itself. So we've got our brad. Now we'll take some washi tape. We need to make a little straw. I'm not sure how long I'm going to need yet, so I'm just going to cut off about 12 inches. And then I want to slice it into a nice little thin, about a 1/4 inch wide. So I'm going to have my pinwheel somewhere around here. I'm going to have a hand holding the straw, so let me go ahead and put the straw in. So you don't have to be exact, you just sort of put it down. And then we're going to cut off. Let's go ahead and make a nice little square shape. You want to make it big enough for the brad to go through. So now we have our pinwheel that moves. We have our redeemed insecure artist. So now the secured artist. We've got a pinwheel or a nice little straw, all the shadows. And the good thing about this is now we've acknowledged our shadows. We've talked about them. We know that some of those voices, they speak to us, and by bringing them out, bringing them to the light, by giving them a voice, we kind of debunk what they do. So now we can play, we can do the art we're called to do, and just make it more enjoyable. And what more fun is it to have your artist being able to play with a pinwheel? As I'm looking at my finished piece, I feel like it's a little bit empty over here. So I'm going to go ahead and take out a stamp. Live your art. And what a better sentiment to have for securing the artist and redeeming from some of those shadows, and the constant reminder that you do want to live your art and be the artist that you're meant to be. Hope you've enjoyed this art demo and look forward to seeing what you do with your shadows.